Hey guys, Jordan here, and I promised you guys a video on CancelCon, and I am a man of my word, so I'm here to deliver. So let's check it out. It's going to be very ad hoc, so I'm just going to skip around and we're just going to have fun with it. It's 2 hours. Of course, I'm not going to show you the whole 2 hours because I'm certainly not going to sit around for the whole fucking 2 hours and just making myself want to abuse myself or whatever. So, anyway, let's just kick back, relax, and enjoy the lunacy of CancelCon. And you'll be hearing my commentary along with what Prager and Shapiro and Rubin and Carolla all have to say in Adam Carolla's garage. That's where this whole thing took place. So it's basically Prager, Shapiro, Carolla, and Rubin in Adam Carolla's garage talking about, again, as I mentioned in the last video, talking about how oppressed they are and how oppressed the right in America is, even though they run everything. And it's just delicious. Like this water. So, anyway, let's get to it. I have to say, can you guys imagine the fun the people must have had recording this song? Like, can you just imagine the fun the guys that were singing this song and the girls in the vocal booth when they were recording this theme song? They must have been thinking what the fuck are we doing? Like, at least we're getting paid for this, you know? Anyway, the right loves to talk about getting triggered and, making fun of the SJWs and owning the libs and all that. Meanwhile, these people are the most triggered people of all time. They get triggered over people not standing for the national anthem and, people who they perceive as not being sufficiently pro-American or pro-patriotic or whatever. These people are the most triggered people of all time, not being pro-religion enough. These people get triggered over everything. So, but anyway, let's continue. It's the bias response team. If you've been offended, your feelings must be defended. Patriarchy violation. I love it. Okay, so is patriarchy a problem? Yes. Do I think it's a pervasive issue that permeates every bit of society? Not really. I mean, I think in some ways patriarchy is a problem, but I think the main issues that really define society are race and class. So, and not necessarily in that order. I think class comes first, and then definitely race is still a huge issue. And those two kind of feed off each other. But you can definitely say that patriarchy, I apologize, is still an issue in many parts of society today, and that the class and racial issues are connected in some way to patriarchal society, but I don't see what that has to do with being offended and your feelings must be defended. So are you guys against defending people's feelings that have been offended? I agree with your right to speak, but are you saying that people don't have a right to protest? So ironically, that is a violation of free speech. So I just find that interesting. Anyway, carry on. Okay, nobody believes that. Nobody has said there. Okay, maybe you can find a fringe of this, but nobody has actually said, like, there's not a vast swath of people on the left that are like, hey, if you express yourself freely, you're microaggressing against me. That's a straw man. And these people know that they're straw manning their opponents. These people have to know that that is a bullshit argument. Anyway, let's continue, shall we? Antifa Freddy. I love that. So, I like how they called the... Or is that the dude that's coming up? Hold on a second. Oh, yeah, the Antifa are the real fascists meme. I don't have to go over that. I mean, Vosh and people like that have been over this 100 times. If you're anti-fascist, you're by definition anti-fascist. Yes, there have been violent things done in the name of anti-fascism, but they're still anti-fascists. They're not actual fascists. So, yeah. And by the way, the Democratic Party is not in league with Antifa. That's a bullshit talking point. Anyway, carry on.
Starbucks windows don't stand a chance.
This guy. Okay. This guy. Okay. So the Antifa Freddy guy, I find it interesting that they couldn't find an alliteration for this guy. I think it was either Vosh or Xander Hall or one of those guys. They were like, why didn't they call this dude like Antifa Alex or Antifa Andy instead of Antifa Freddy? They were trying to rhyme it or trying to make an alliteration with the F instead of the A. But for this one, they called him Ethnic Enhancer. So, I don't know. So basically, this is making fun of the idea of systemic racism, even though it totally exists according to... It's basically an academic consensus that systemic racism is a thing. Now, that doesn't mean, because I know it's going to trigger some conservatives, that doesn't mean that there's racism everywhere. It just means that systemically, there still is racism built into the system, and black people and other minorities, but specifically black people, are still feeling the effects of that systemic racism today. That doesn't mean every white person's a racist. That doesn't mean that everybody who is black, that doesn't mean that everybody who's black can't make it within the system. It just means that maybe we should remedy the system a little bit so we can have more black people make it in the system. So anyway, let's carry on, shall we? I love that. These people are so weak. Yes, sometimes people get heated in debates, and sometimes it gets nasty, and sometimes you resort to ad homs. Now, I try to stay away from that when I'm debating people, but sometimes people are going to resort to ad homs when they get really, really heated. That's just the way it works sometimes. So, sorry, I don't know what to tell you.
They're heroes who think that they're victims. Social justice warriors.
I love that. Absolutely. Oh, I'm not gonna do the da 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 da. Nope. Not gonna do it. Here we go.
Possibly. Maybe what we're doing today is a live stream to talk about the No Safe Spaces movie, but more broadly to talk about the thing that
Dave
we're
Rubin.
kind of all talking about all the time, and I don't mean just the four of us. I mean everybody really in the United States and all over the world. This crushing attack on free speech that you guys see not only in the
What crushing attack, Dave? Any examples? Nope.
college campus situation, but all over, in the corporate world, in academia, now in our political world, in the cultural sphere, everywhere.
Again, Dave, any specific examples?
Everyone seems to be afraid to say what they think. And I think,
guess not.
the last three guys who aren't afraid to say what they think. Gentlemen.
Oh, yeah, you guys are so fucking brave. Yeah, 4 gigantic personalities, gigantic right-wing personalities grouped together. They have massive platforms and are backed by billionaires. That is a wonderful point. Wonderful point there, Dave. Very high IQ point. Anyway, continue.
Say something controversial right up top. Dennis, what's the most controversial thing that one can say these days?
The most controversial thing? I'll tell you, America is a great country.
Yes. That very controversial opinion. Yes, very controversial opinion, Dennis. Thank you for being so bold and so brave as to assert what most Americans have believed for over 200 years and what most Americans still believe today, including the President of the United States. How brave of you.
Of America. Those are two of the most controversial things one can say. That's how Lincoln was a great man. In other words, any obvious moral statement regarding the U.S. is controversial.
Wait a minute. Whoa. Dennis, hold on. Okay. Who denies that Lincoln was a great man? Who has said that? Can you give any specific example as to who says Lincoln wasn't a great man? I mean, the dude had some character flaws, but who doesn't, honestly? So I'll let that slide a little bit. And, there was some questionable motives that he had in terms of, how committed really was he to freeing the slaves and stuff like that. But really, in his shortened second term, he was going to do some pretty based stuff. I mean, the dude literally corresponded, and this is something that these 4 would never tell you. The dude literally corresponded with Karl Marx. Now, Karl Marx is somebody that I'm not that big of a fan of, but this guy corresponded with Karl Marx and was going to free the workers, basically, in America from the shackles of big business. That's what his next project was most likely going to be. So Karl Marx's point to Lincoln was like, hey man, you just freed the African slaves. Why don't you free the workers that are, like, overall, the American workers who are suffering under the tyranny of these private business owners? Why don't you do that? And Lincoln was very likely going to do that. I mean, this is basic history. The Republican Party published Marxist works and works from anarchists as well. Emma Goldman was published in Marxist journals, and Republicans published her as well. So the early Republican Party, the very early Republican Party, was pretty based. Nothing like these jokers here. Again, Prager, Shapiro, Rubin, Corolla. I mean, these guys are nothing like what the party of Lincoln would have been 150 years ago. Let's see. I hate math. So Lincoln died in 1865. I don't know, 160 years ago. I'm no good at math. So anyway, let's just get back to the video, shall we? Here's some more high IQ points from Mr. Prager.
That's how bad things are.
Are you telling me that America was not founded on racism and bigotry and evil?
You know, I wonder. Do I look at you or the camera? I love looking
Look,
at you.
look at me. Look at me for a
you know,
second, for
okay.
God's sakes.
So, I always wonder of the many millions of slaves who came from Africa to the Western Hemisphere, right, North and South America. 3% came to the United States. About 340,000 versus, let's say, 12 million to Brazil. Are they undergoing the self-revolution in Brazil? Don't you wonder, why doesn't the left hate Brazil?
My favorite point in the entire Cancel Con. That is my favorite point. Holy shit, Dennis. Oh my God. What a great deflection. What a great deflection. So his point is, so understand how stupid Dennis Prager's point just was right there. His point is, well, the American left likes to talk about the issues of African slaves in America, but Brazil, they had more slaves. So why doesn't the American left hate Brazil? Dennis, holy shit. Because we don't live in Brazil. We live in America. And by the way, yes, we do hate Brazil. Yes, Brazil sucks, okay? It's run by Bolsonaro now. It not too long ago was a military dictatorship, which I'm sure you supported, because Reagan certainly supported the military dictatorship in Brazil. So, holy shit. I mean, I cannot believe he made that point. I mean, I kind of can, but I mean, my God, this guy is unbelievable. All these guys are unbelievable, really. But Dennis, the point is, we have no sway over what goes on in Brazil. So the reason why we tend to concentrate more on America is because we're Americans. So yes, do we tend to criticize America? Of course. But do we also criticize what goes on in Brazil? Yeah, fuck Brazil. One of my first college crushes was from Brazil, and she fucking broke my heart. So yeah, fuck Brazil. But also, we need to focus on what the issues are here. But again, it benefits you to perpetuate those issues. So of course you don't want to focus on what those issues are, because it would be a detriment to you and your donors. So anyway, continue.
We got 3% of the Africans who came here, plus in the last 30 years, 3 million Africans, 3 million blacks have come here, 1 million from the Caribbean, 2 million from Africa, because they know how good it is for a black to live here.
A black. I love that. Also, Dennis, you're leaving out one very important factor: wealth. The people that come here from Africa and the Caribbean, they mostly come from wealth. Some of them are poor, but most of them are wealthy if you look at the statistics. So your point is moot, my friend.
So you have to live in a world of lies to accept this depiction of America.
Adam, he said that America's good. That was the short version. Can you possibly come up with
Good
something
response,
more
Dave.
controversial than that? I mean, come on, man.
Well, what no one really wants to hear is you'll either do well here or you won't do well here, and that'll be up to you.
Oh, very big brain of you, Adam Carolla. Very high IQ analysis. Totally borne out by the facts. Totally borne out by the data. Very high IQ analysis there. Okay, so I'll tell you what I'm going to do. We are going to go to Let's see. Economic mobility by country. Infographic. Da-da-da-da. Let's see. So this is the global the most and least socially mobile countries. Let's see. So in number 1, we have Denmark, Norway, Finland, Sweden, Iceland, Netherlands, Switzerland, Belgium, Austria, Luxembourg, Germany, France, Slovenia, Canada, Japan, Australia, Malta, Ireland, Chechnya, Singapore, United Kingdom, New Zealand, Estonia, Portugal, South Korea, Lithuania, and 27th place, United States. So, Adam, I hate to break this to you, but there's this thing called data. And this is not me speaking. This is the World Economic Forum's inaugural report on mapping the most and least socially mobile countries. And of course, the Nordic countries, Denmark, Norway, Iceland, Finland, Sweden, they are the most economically mobile. And we come in 27th place. Really, honestly, Adam, Malta does better than us. You can't argue with that. This is statistics, which you claim to care about sometimes. So, no, we're not a pure meritocracy like you pretend we are. Yes, you made it, and yes, you worked hard, and look, I applaud you for that. I really do. But you can't judge everybody by the way your life worked out. That's a logical fallacy. Not everybody had the same opportunities you had. Not everybody, because, see, the problem with Adam Carolla is let me turn back to the video. The problem with Adam Carolla is he grew up very poor and his parents basically didn't give a shit about him. And he's bitter about that, understandably so. So he basically views any poor person as exactly like his parents. So basically, he views, oh, you're poor? Okay, you must be a shitty person who doesn't give a shit about anybody else and doesn't work hard. And, so he applies what the characteristics that his parents had to every other poor person and basically just says, fuck you, you're a shitty person if you're poor. And you're lazy and, all these other stereotypes. When Adam, the reality is our wages are stagnant. Yes, they went up a little bit under Trump, but they need to go up a hell of a lot more. Our cost of living isn't the wages haven't nearly kept up with the cost of living. That's what I meant to say. The inflation. I mean, there are a lot of factors that you don't seem to work into your view of the world. And what you're going to say here in a minute is, oh, it's childlike to not view America as a meritocracy. But the ironic thing is, it's actually childlike to view America as a pure meritocracy because it's not. I just showed you statistics that say very clearly that we are not a meritocracy. We rank 27th in the world based on economic mobility. There are small island nations like Malta that kick our ass in economic mobility. Malta I mean, look at this. Malta is number 17. They're 10 spots ahead of us. Are you kidding me? Malta is ahead of us, and Chechnya, and which is in Russia. It's a territory in Russia, and Luxembourg. I mean, my God, that's not an island, but I mean, so Adam is just in Fantasyland here. Whoops. Anyway, back to the lunacy here.
The playing field is fairly level.
False.
Certainly level enough.
Look at Prager
in almost
just shaking his head over there.
2021. And it'll never be completely level. It can't be completely level. People that are short have a slight disadvantage. People who are...
Okay. This is the equality of outcome thing. Nobody on the left wants equality of outcome. Nobody has ever said, I want everybody to be exactly the same and make exactly the same money and have exactly the same number of, I don't know, cars and pets and clothes and whatever. Nobody has ever made that argument ever. Not Karl Marx, not Jesus, not nobody on the left has ever made that argument ever. Not Mikhail Bakunin, not Peter Kropotkin. Nobody has made that argument. What we want is equal opportunity, but we acknowledge to have equal opportunity, the basics need to be taken care of. You need to be fed, clothed. You need to have a roof over your head. You need to have health care taken care of. You need to meet a basic standard of living in order to have an equal opportunity. So that's what we're talking about. So again, these guys are just lying here and misrepresenting what the leftist position is.
Born to this type of family or missing a father in the home, for instance. But this is about as level a society.
Okay, let's skip ahead to Ben Shapiro.
Are you ready for this? This is so easy.
Okay, so Ben Shapiro, Dave Rubin is going to ask Ben Shapiro, so what's your controversial statement? So let's hear what Ben Shapiro has to say, because it's a real doozy.
Men are not women.
Good job, Ben. Good job. Okay, so that's real big brain stuff right there. Okay, so let me explain something to Ben Shapiro. If you are a trans man, you are by definition a man. If you are a trans woman, you are by definition a woman. It doesn't matter what your biological sex is, because sex and gender are different. So don't give me this biological male, biological female stuff. No, you don't understand gender. If you use that argument, you don't understand what gender means. If you use that argument, if you are a trans man, you are by definition a man. Even if you are in the process of transitioning, if you identify as a man, then you should be allowed to express yourself as a male. Now, if you're talking about, for instance, if you haven't transitioned and you don't have a certain hormone level past a certain point, I don't think you should be allowed to compete as, for instance, a male in like a biological sex male in female athletic competitions. So that is a debate that is reasonable, but I think that you should at least have the respect. And to be fair, Ben Shapiro has said this, that, hey, I'll call you whatever you want to be called and whatever. But I think you should respect pronouns and things like that. And so, Ben, the point is nobody disagrees with, or I'm sorry, nobody disagrees with the whole men are not women thing. Yeah, nobody disagrees with you. Yeah, it's true. Men are not women. I agree with you. Yeah, men are men and women are women. It just so happens that trans women, yes, they are women. No matter what you argue about about like biological females and blah 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 blah, it doesn't matter what biological argument you make or whether you conflate sex with gender. If you identify if you're a trans man, you are a man. If you're a trans woman, you're a woman. Period. End of story. Moving on.
Wow.
Okay, well,
Ooh.
And
You,
the
you
stream
asked
has
for
been
it.
cut.
You asked for it. J.K. Rowling's having her books burned.
Yeah.
Right? The only book any of these people
J.K. Rowling is an insufferable turf, and we don't really need to go beyond that. So that's enough about J.K. Rowling.
read, right? They should have read like the Bible or any other book. As it turns out the only people they only read Harry Potter, and now they are burning the only book they have ever read.
What does the Bible have to do with anything? Yeah, the Bible is going to tell you how to deal with trans people. Okay. I'm just going to skip ahead here.
Yeah.
Which is, by the way, I said everything I say now into a microphone all through the 90s and early 2000s, and no one said boo.
Yeah. Did sixth grade Ben Shapiro, when he was playing the violin, ever think that it was going to cost $600,000 worth of security to speak at Berkeley, the home?
Okay, this is what I was talking about in my last video. College kids, like college lefties, chill out with the whole protesting thing. Like if you want to peacefully protest, fine, but don't do the violent thing, especially when it's people like Ben Shapiro, because their arguments are so fucking easy to destroy. You can do it. I have faith in you. You can destroy their arguments without, being totally obnoxious about it. So anyway, let's continue. I'm just going to jump around here.
Guys, Facebook decided that they did not want to take, I think, roughly around 10 grand in advertising funds because...
Hold on. This is
Oh,
boring.
Alexei...
Sergey Brin, yeah, Sergey Brin. I wrote an open letter because I began my public life at 20.
Oh, this is Dennis Prager complaining about like censorship or something like that. I'm pretty sure.
It's a very odd life. There's a scene, by the way, in No Safe Spaces of me at 21. Some young guy is acting me out in Moscow. I was sent into the Soviet Union to smuggle in religious items, smuggle out names of Jews who wanted to escape. It was quite something, because I know Russian and Hebrew, so I was the perfect candidate to be sent in. Anyway, so I come home, and it was... when I think about it, I worked very hard to get Soviet Jews out of the Soviet Union. I may be partially or directly responsible for Sergey Brin, his family getting out of the Soviet Union. And the irony of life is he is creating a Soviet Union in the place he escaped to leave the Soviet Union. It shows how profound communism's effect even on some of those who left it.
Wow.
So he's conflating. So let me tell you what this is about, okay? Let me tell you what this is about. So Prager and his channel PragerU, which again, for those that don't know, is a university, but like it's not a real university. It's called PragerU, and it's like Trump University in the sense that It's not an accredited university, but it's they just decided to call themselves a university, and they make shitty propaganda videos and from like really sketchy sources, not based on facts at all. It's really really cringy stuff. But anyway, PragerU sued Google and YouTube because some of their videos were restricted. And the catch is that here's the twist. The funny thing is, the videos are not restricted necessarily by YouTube or Google. They're restricted by computers with content filters on them that filter out, I think it's violence and pornography. So library computers, school computers, things like that. So no, your videos are not being restricted by YouTube and Google. They're being restricted by computers that have filters on them for inappropriate topics. And some PragerU topics are pretty, pretty interesting. And there is mention of things like murder and I think even rape in some PragerU videos. So it makes sense for the algorithm to filter out those videos. And by the way, a lot of people can still see those videos if they want to see them. So they're not. So if you get rid of those content filters, then you can see them just fine. So they're not being censored or restricted in any meaningful sense, which is why their lawsuit is going nowhere. So this has to do all, again, with the conservative victim complex. Like, oh, we're being censored, we're being shut down, and blah, 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 blah. But again, these guys have nothing to say about left-leaning sites and YouTube channels actually being taken down. So these people do not give a shit about actual free speech issues. They just want to whine and bitch to basically, it's a publicity stunt, essentially. So anyway, that's what Prager is referring to. And nice analogy with the Soviet Union. I like that. That's very big brain of you, Dennis.
That he is comfortable with censorship of speech. You have to grow up in the Soviet Union to be comfortable with it. That's
very big brain of you.
To screw America after it has saved you is about as low a level as a human can get. That is Sergey Brin and his Google, and it pains me in my heart when I think of the work I put in to get Soviet Jews out of the Soviet Union.
Good for you, Dennis. Okay,
the basic premise of it is that Charles Boyer, who plays her husband, is trying to drive her absolutely up a wall.
Hold on.
And these same people who are pushing this stuff will say that cancel culture literally does not exist. It's just a figment of all of our imaginations. You see, it's just part of the conversation to try and destroy somebody's life based on a normal disagreement.
Well,
give an example.
I always sort of think of, it's like when Twitter, one of the Facebook or whatever, just goes, oh, we kicked this guy off of that, and then someone comes back.
Okay. So yeah, more complaining about like anecdotal instances of like conservatives being censored.
I hope that's not because of it. Okay. So here I was doing an interview in your office, and here's the answer I gave, and it's an interesting analogy, but I think it's apt. Because these are bullies, people are scared. They're scared for their jobs. They're scared for their social standing, but they also.
Oh my God, Adam, you're a comedian. How can you be so weak? Comedians are supposed to, be used to taking shit. How are you this weak? Like, oh, people are bullying me and people are bullying other people. You're so weak. Oh my God. Who is doing the bullying? Who is kicking people out of their jobs? None of these people have given a specific example. They've been talking for 32 minutes and they haven't given a specific example of anybody being censored. Holy shit.
No one wants to get shouted out of town by the mob, right? When I was doing radio in the mid 90s, it was 96, 97, I said something about Scientology. And I said something disparagingly about about Scientology. And
okay, nobody cares.
No way to look back and say how much we've improved. And so every leftist essay about race, for example, begins with, here's a terrible thing that happened in 1818. And now just fast forward 200 years to 2020.
Right.
This is every Ta-Nehisi Coates essay, right? Here is a piece of writing from 1840 about how racist Americans were. Fast forward 180 years, nothing has changed, right? We just skip right over everything that...
Okay, Ben, nobody has said nothing has changed. We're saying we need to make more progress. There's a difference between saying nothing has changed and saying more needs to change. But of course, he has to straw man.
And the Civil War, the Civil Rights Movement, all of the changes in American life, the fact that overwhelmingly Americans don't care about race and actually hate racism on a root level. All of it, and he's
some
in
Americans do.
This about the
some Americans hate racism, but some Americans are still pretty damn racist. So, like a hell of a lot of people in both parties, to be honest with you. It's just that Democrats tend to be a little bit different in their racism than Republicans. So, but both parties still are pretty damn racist. So
we're 5 minutes away from the burning of California, which is, I'm leaving, you guys. The biblical plagues are upon us, and I don't know what you're doing here. Honestly, I don't know what you guys are doing here. I'm getting out. You're like the Jews in Egypt who are like, you know what, we're going to stick around and see what
all right, let's skip forward
As
here.
I said before, we would debate any of them. They don't debate us.
This thing, like, why won't the lefties debate us? Why won't the lefties debate us? I actually reached out, believe it or not. I will admit, I personally, me, Jordan, I have reached out to Mr. Prager via email on, I think, 4 different occasions. I haven't gotten a single response back. People reach out I have also reached out to Ruben too. People reach out to you guys all the time, and you guys, what you guys want to do is you want to debate the idiot celebrities who can't make arguments, and you don't want to debate the intelligent people that actually know what the fuck we're talking about. So that's why you're like, they don't want to debate us. It's like, no, you don't want to debate us. So you're projecting your own lack of interest in debating us, the intelligent people. You're projecting that onto us when it's really your fault. So don't put that on me, or us rather.
I met Thomas Friedman, New York Times columnist since 1436.
Oh yes, the renowned leftist Thomas Friedman.
And I met him on that famous shuttle at Dulles Airport about 5 years ago. He didn't know who I was, which is, by the way, par for the course. They don't hear us, watch us, read us. We watch them, read them, and...
Oh, yes. That explains why I probably spend... you know what? I'm done with this shit, but here's the thing. I probably spend more time... I'm totally done with this. I probably spend more time watching these maniacs than watching BreadTube. So that is absolutely wrong, Dennis. That's the problem with these people. The problem that I have is not really the conservatism. It's the insular nature of each of these guys, and just the arrogance and the fact that they're arrogantly ignorant. They're proud of their ignorance, and they're proud that they're so insular. That's what bugs me about them. So anyway, that is Cancel Con in a nutshell. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and you got to see a little bit of my my sepia, my signature sepia, if you will. I don't know what my next video will be or when it will be, but I can guarantee you it's going to be a good one. I hope you enjoyed my coverage of the shit show that was CancelCon, and I look forward to seeing you guys again. And as always, take care.